You might have heard individuals say, "It's my life, and I can do whatever I want. I have the freedom to choose, so why am I being told what I can and cannot do?" Hello, my name is Joe Cirillo, and this is Gospel First. When people make statements about agency, they often misunderstand its meaning and why it has been given to us. Agency refers to the ability and privilege granted by God for individuals to make choices and take actions for themselves. When we succumb to Satan's temptations, we end up limiting our choices or our options. To illustrate this, let's just imagine that you're skiing in the mountains and you come across a sign that's warning you of danger for an avalanche. Initially, you might think that the sign restricts your freedom, but does it really? You still have several alternatives available to you. You can ski in a different area, return home, or even ignore the warning and continue skiing in that hazardous spot. However, if an avalanche does occur and you find yourself caught in it, your options become severely restricted. You may be fortunate enough to escape unharmed, but you also run the risk of losing your life. Therefore, it's important to realize that certain limitations, such as the warning sign, actually offer us more choices and opportunities for safety. Now, in order to understand and experience agency, there are four essential pillars that must be present. They are often referred to as the four pillars of agency. These pillars encompass law, knowledge of good and evil, opposition, and the power to choose. In the Book of Mormon, the prophet Lehi delivered a significant speech to his sons, emphasizing the importance of these four pillars in establishing and maintaining agency. The first pillar is law. Now, let's just imagine a scenario where there is no law against stealing. In the Book of Mormon, the prophet Lehi addresses the concept in 2 Nephi chapter 2, verse 13. He explains that if one were to claim there is no law, they would also be implying that there is no sin. Furthermore, if there is no sin, there would be no concept of righteousness. In turn, the absence of righteousness would lead to a lack of happiness. Ultimately, without righteousness or happiness, there would be no punishment or misery. However, as Lehi's son Jacob teaches in 2 Nephi chapter 9, verse 25, God has indeed given us laws. These laws play a crucial role in our exercise of agency. They provide guidance by establishing what choices are right and in accordance with God's will. Now, therefore, having designated laws from God is an integral part of our ability to exercise agency effectively. Pillar number 2 is knowledge of good and evil. Now, many of us likely or unintentionally done something wrong at some point in our lives, especially during our childhood years. I have personally a personal memory of my 3-year-old granddaughter. Shortly after her mother had painted her bedroom, she started to scribble all over the freshly painted wall with a permanent marker. Now, she had no understanding that her actions were really not acceptable or just incorrect. However, it is only when we grasp the concept of right and wrong that we can conscientiously choose to obey or disobey the law and ultimately be held accountable for our virtuous or immoral deeds. To grasp the significance of understanding God and evil in exercising agency, let's consider the example of stealing. Although God has established a law that states don't steal, without awareness of the law, we would struggle to make the right decision. Therefore, comprehending the distinction between right and wrong is essential in effectively utilizing our agency. The scriptures provide guidance in the Book of Mormon, specifically in 2 Nephi chapter 2, verse 5, which teaches us that because of the light of Christ, men are instructed sufficiently that they know good from evil. This highlights the importance of acquiring knowledge of good and evil in order to exercise agency wisely. Pillar number 3 is opposition. Now let's consider a scenario where we present you with a choice. You can steal either a candy bar or a soft drink, or even both if you desire to. Now, regardless of which option you choose, it's important to recognize that stealing is wrong, regardless of the item that's stolen. Opposing choices play a vital role in the exercise of our agency. Without these opposing options, it would be difficult to truly exercise our free will. The prophet Lehi enlightens us on this concept in 2 Nephi chapter 2 verse 11, stating, "For it must needs be that there is opposition in all things. If not so, righteousness could not be brought to pass, neither wickedness." By having contrasting choices, we are given the opportunity to utilize our agency and make the moral correct decision. And pillar number 4 is the power to choose. In order to exercise our agency, it's essential that we have the capacity to make choices. While we may possess knowledge of law, an understanding of good and evil, and a range of options to consider, without the ability to choose, our agency remains inactive. To illustrate this point, let's consider a scenario where we acknowledge that not stealing is the right decision. However, due to circumstances beyond our control, we find ourselves in a situation where we have no choice but to steal. In such a situation, our power to exercise agency is taken away because we lack the ability to make a choice. Now, without the power to choose, we are left with no alternatives. As a result, true agency cannot exist, and thus accountability becomes void. Fortunately, we have been blessed with the gift of choice by God. We are reminded of this in 2 Nephi chapter 2 verse 27, where we learn that we are free to choose. This divine teaching emphasizes that the power to exercise agency lies within each one of us, allowing us to make decisions and take responsibility for our actions. The doctrine of agency holds profound significance in our lives, influencing us in various ways. It is not uncommon for people to attribute their actions to using phrases like, "the devil made me do it." However, the teachings of the prophet Joseph Smith reminds us that the adversary cannot make us do anything against our will. The greatest advantage of agency is the freedom to make our own choices and shape the course of our lives. Our Heavenly Father has given us the gift of agency, which empowers us to discern right from wrong and act accordingly. However, this freedom also entails responsibility, commonly referred to as accountability by the prophets. They emphasize that we must answer for the choices we make. Having a genuine understanding of agency leads us to recognize that making excuses is essentially denying our ability to choose. Excuses suggest that we lack control over the circumstances, thereby diminishing our agency. In fact, most excuses directly undermine one of the 4 essential pillars of our agency. Making excuses has detrimental effects as it deceives us into believing that we are not free to make choices or that universal laws hold no significance. Conversely, assuming responsibility for our actions empowers us to assert control over our lives. By accepting responsibility, we gain the authority to direct our course of our lives. And in Doctrine and Covenants, section 58, verse 26 to 28, the Lord emphasizes that He doesn't command us in all things, as true wisdom lies in allowing us to make our own choices. He encourages us to actively engage in good works and freely choose to pursue righteousness. As agents with the power to act, the responsibility to make choices rests within us. When we strive to do good, we can have confidence that our efforts will be rewarded. It is vital to recognize that God has granted us the gift of freedom to exercise our agency. As stated in 2 Nephi chapter 2 verse 14, we possess the ability to take deliberate action rather than passively accepting the consequences of our circumstances. Once we acknowledge our accountability for the choices that we make, we gain control over the trajectory of our lives. We have the autonomy to choose between embracing freedom, which empowers us, or facing the outcomes of our choices, which can lead to unhappiness. Ultimately, the decision of how we want to live our lives lies squarely in our own hands. In conclusion, I'd like to make one final point about the concept of agency. What exactly does agency mean? Well, in life, you often see movie stars or singers or different artists working with agents. These agents are responsible for carrying out the wishes and goals of the movie star or singer. Similarly, because we made the choice to follow Jesus Christ in the pre-existence, we now act as his representatives here on earth. Our agency, or our ability to make choices, should align with his will, and we should strive to represent him effectively. In essence, we become his agents on earth, just like those who assist movie stars or singers in achieving their objectives. Now, we have successfully completed Lesson 2 in this section of Act 2. In the upcoming lesson, we will dive into the profound subject of the atonement of Jesus Christ, which is universally recognized as God's most extraordinary gift. So if you have any questions about the gospel, please don't hesitate to leave us a message in the comment section below. Also, please remember to like, subscribe, and to share so that we can spread the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ together.